If you own one of these bad boys, then first up, congratulations. It's a great club to be in, isn't it? If you don't have one, they're pretty cheap on eBay, so I'd recommend going to get one like right now. Now, the internet may tell you that the Sega Saturn was underpowered, outclassed, and ultimately a failure. Well, those of us that own one and collect for one will tell you that it's one of, if not the best console of all time. Now, to make this point even clearer, we're going to be delving into a genre of video games that was very well catered for on the Sega Saturn, and that is shmups, or spaceship shooters. What is a shmup, I hear you ask? Imagine that there are millions of horrible enemies out there, and they want to destroy and wipe out humans. And the only defense that humans have is you in your tiny little spaceship. And they'll throw you a few power-ups, but pretty much you're on your own. So that's it, ladies and gents. Billions of dollars in defense ultimately comes down to you in a tiny little spaceship facing off against millions of enemies. I can also put it like this. It's like one of those 80s action movies. But instead of a six-pack, biceps and a bazooka, you have a beer belly and a tiny teeny little ship. Now, if you're thinking about delving into this genre of video game, I can only say one thing to you really, and that's good luck, because you're going to need it, because these are some of the most brutally difficult games that you are ever going to play. But at the same time, they are some of the most kick-ass games that you're ever going to play. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these games are really rare, and a lot of them weren't released in the West. If they were released in the West, they're so rare that the prices are astronomical. You can obviously get the Japanese imports, but some of those are still really pricey for what they are. So in this episode, we're taking a look at the best Sega Saturn shmups that I own. I'll be giving you sort of a current price range of those shmups, and ultimately looking at if they're actually worth that price. So sit back, and if you haven't subscribed to Horizons A New Video Game Review, please subscribe now, and let's get cooking. Do you think fish are assholes? Do you get bored with how slow fishing is? Do you want to use a sophisticated spaceship to make epic amounts of sushi? Then this is the game for you. We're going to start with my personal favourite shmup on Saturn, Darius Gaiden. Everything about this game looks and feels awesome. It is a perfect showcase of the Saturn's 2D capabilities. The backgrounds have such character and vary wildly from level to level. You have cityscapes, oceans, underwater, deserts, and space, to name a few. With so many levels to choose from in different branching paths, I have not seen them all, and there is huge replay value. The colours pop off the screen in every stage, and the action is relentless, with all kinds of fish-inspired enemies. As you progress, you enter 2D sprite hell, with a symphony of destruction going on screen. But the Saturn never looks stressed in the slightest. The game is smooth and responsive and just feels fantastic. You always feel in control. The music is strange, but in a very good way. Anyone listening to you play this game may wonder what the hell is going on, but there is no mistaking this soundtrack. Electronic beats with operatic singing and huge siren calls to flag that a boss is approaching. And just in case you missed the really loud siren, massive text saying "The boss is approaching" will come up on the screen. And these guys are pissed with you. I don't know what I did, but I am sorry, okay? Killing these guys ends with a really satisfying explosion that is almost orgasmic. In a gaming sense, of course. This game just rocks in every way. The visuals are stunning, the sound is glorious, and the gameplay tight. This is one of the cheaper ones on the list, especially if you get the Japanese version. You're looking at around £30 to £50. It was released on the PS1, but why on earth would you get it for that?
This is the control tower. Make a left turn. Over. Roger.
It took me a while to get into this game. At first the visuals don't really hit you in the face, but as it progresses you start to see all kinds of cool scenery and enemies both in the foreground and the background. Part of the gameplay involves shooting things in the foreground as you would in a normal shooter, and then locking onto things in the background by moving the crosshairs over them to lock on and pressing fire. This gameplay dynamic really spices things up, and if you combine it with a catchy and upbeat soundtrack and some really awesome visual elements that make you feel like you are travelling through a journey of destruction in a variety of locations, then you get something very special indeed. Some of the levels display impressive depth in the backgrounds, and the sprite work for the incoming enemies and surrounding objects really helps create a living world. This is a fantastic game that grows on me every time I revisit it. This one is also relatively cheap at £40 to £60 for the Japanese version. The Western release is much more rare and much more expensive. Submarines are awesome at the best of times, but when you get to pilot one in a shmup, then special things are bound to happen. In the Hunt has absolutely gorgeous visuals in the style of Metal Slug. Just as in that game, you must wipe out your enemies, only this time you do it underwater and with torpedoes. The water is no sanctuary though. You have to worry about other subs, mines, underwater turrets, massive ships on the surface using depth charges, and planes flying overhead dropping torpedoes. There is a lot of shit going down in this game, and the Saturn does struggle with it all sometimes. I mean, it's not surprising. Look at these visuals. I'm sorry, but these visuals turn me on. in a gaming sense of course. They are really special and display a level of detail not usually associated with 32-bit era games. The slowdown can actually help you in certain situations. This is an expensive game at around £70 to £90, but it's worth every damn penny in my opinion. Killer soundtrack also.
Wing leader to base. Wing leader to base. Commencing operation. 3, 2, 1, go. First out. Enemy outpost. Let's see what you got with us.
There are tons of shmups out there where you're given a little pea shooter as a weapon. And I don't know about you, but this is a source of severe frustration for me. I mean, it's bad enough I'm out here on my own with one ship taking on a whole galaxy of enemies. You could at least give me some firepower.
Looky what we got here. A multi-assault tank. Watch yourself, kid.
Well, in Donpachi, you have a standard light spread shot that takes care of lots of small enemies all over the screen. But if you hold down the fire button, you unleash a more powerful, concentrated stream of energy that packs a wallop and takes out bigger enemies much more quickly. You sacrifice some speed to do this, but having the choice between fast light attacks and slower, more powerful attacks is really a game changer. Along with its sequel Dodonpachi, the games share bright and vibrant visuals, and action that is kinetic and frantic, with gameplay that makes you feel like you are flying and shooting by the seat of your pants. Constantly switching between the two attack styles gives you much more to think about, but also more options for every scenario. I've heard people say Dodonpachi looks better, but I'd say they're pretty level in almost every way, and both are must-own games for the Saturn. It will set you back at least £70 though.
Pick it up for multiple. Pick it up for ripple laser. Pick it up ripple laser.
So in this package you get 3 games, which already makes it great value for money. Salamander and Life Force make up the first 2, and they are considered classic arcade games, even if they are essentially the same game, just having slight differences because of region. They are Gradius style games, and for their time they were revolutionary. It's great to have them here from a collector's standpoint, and they are decent to play, but I have to say that I personally don't rate them that highly because the visuals are pretty stale and bland, and the gameplay is pretty slow and cumbersome. They are classics, no question about it, but I personally don't enjoy them as much, and I think they have aged quite a bit. The third game here is Salamander 2, and it's the main attraction in my opinion. This game is freaking awesome. Not only is it one of the best looking Saturn games, but the controls are much more fluid than its predecessors and it feels much smoother as well. It has some great effects for the enemies and the backgrounds are highly detailed. This is what the Saturn was made for. Stunning 2D gloriousness. This is simply stunning and really shows you what the Saturn can do. The aesthetic of this whole series feels like the movie Inner Space, where a guy is put into a ship and shrunk down so that he can be inserted into a body. The enemies and backgrounds are largely organic, and it looks like you are fighting some kind of bacteria in an organism. It's pretty interesting stuff and makes for some crazy level design and gameplay. This one is priced anywhere from £40 to £60. So that's a few shmups that I own, but there are many more out there for the Saturn. Just remember, they are all going to cost you a pretty penny. Hope you enjoyed the video. Horizons Anew needs you to subscribe, so if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and help this channel grow. Until next time.